Hello and welcome to your longest summer flow of the course. So as I mentioned in the intro, a few things to watch for, but the main thing I just want to mention in this one is you might want to double up your mat if you have a hard floor, if you don't usually, because we will be on our knees a little bit more than we are in our other classes that we've done so far. So as usual, take it slow. You might have a tendency to get overexcited and jump in, which is good, but also just take it slow, especially if this is your first time doing this class. So we're going to start on our knees. So if it's uncomfortable for you to be on your knees, pause it, add some extra padding underneath your knees, and possibly have a bolster or block or pillow underneath the thighs. And we're going to start with a little bit of breath of fire. So even if you've done a little bit of breath of fire before this class, another couple of rounds won't hurt. If you are using our playlist, which I highly recommend, you can press play on that now. So just resting your hands on your thighs, lifting the shoulders, drawing them back, and just noticing how you're feeling at the moment as you start to connect with your breath. So as you breathe in, soften the belly, and think of the energy moving downwards towards the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, think of that energy moving back up through the central channel of the body, all the way up to the crown of the head. Just noticing this for a moment. As you breathe in, think about the air moving down into your lungs, filling everything up, circling and spiraling at the base of the body, and as you exhale, breathing all the way up and feeling that energy move out through the nose. Good, one more. And let a big sigh out. Good, we're going to take a little bit of breath of fire. So if you haven't watched the intro for that, do that now. I won't explain too much of it. As you breathe in, expand the belly, think about drawing the energy down, and then as you exhale, pumping the pelvic floor and the belly. Keep going. And full breath out. Pause at the end of the out breath. Full breath in. Pause at the in breath. And then we start one more round, pumping the breath now. Good, keeping consistent, but you don't need to go too hard. Keep the body as relaxed as possible. Good, keep going a little bit longer. Maybe a little bit faster without straining. And full breath out. Good, full breath in, drawing the hands towards the hips. And then as you exhale, full breath out, coming down to all fours, stretching your hands forward a little bit. Good. And then remove the bolster or pillow if you have it. Inhale, opening up. So we're going to do a bit of a cat-cow motion. Inhale, opening up the chest, arching the back. As you exhale, press into the fingertips, rounding through the back. Inhale, forward. Exhale back. Good. Walking the hands back towards the body. Hands slide up the body. Inhale, open up through the elbows, palms, chest. And as you exhale, just slide the hands down the thighs. Breathe out. Fingertips to the ground. So we inhale, slide the hands up the front of the body. Open up. And as you exhale, just slide down the sides of the body. Maybe knocking over a microphone holder on your way down. Inhale, opening up. And then this time coming all the way down to child's pose. So just sliding your hands down, being wary not to knock anything over. Take a wide stance of your child's pose if it's comfortable for you. And maybe not even taking a still child's pose, maybe just swaying side to side a little bit, moving your hips, but just making sure that we're connecting with the breath. So even if you've got the urge to just move constantly now, you can focus on moving the energy inside the body rather than taking big movements. So when you're ready, walking the hands forward. Let's go to our first downward dog. Inhale, lifting the chest, tuck the toes, pressing through the hands. And just taking some time to set up your downward dog. So spreading the fingertips, feeling like we're drawing the shoulders away from the ears as the head and face and jaw relax, hanging in between the arms. Don't need to straighten the knees. It can be nice to just have a nice bend of them, especially early, and maybe pedal out the feet a little bit. So pressing one heel down, pressing into the opposite hand, and just experimenting what it feels like to have the feet close together or far apart, maybe finding somewhere in between. Good, and then feet together, leaning to the left foot. Inhale the right foot up, stretching the right leg back, really focusing on lifting that right heel to the ceiling. Lean to the left hand, right foot through for a low lunge, so lower that left knee down to the floor. Zipping up through center, imagine lifting heavy buckets to turn on, in and up. Shoulders relax, turn the palms open, and then as you exhale, press into the front foot. Naturally, you'll lean back, dip forward, hands drape out to the sides. Good. We've done this one already in spring. Inhale, scooping up. Exhale, soften and relax. Good. Inhale. And then hands all the way down to the floor. Take that right knee back. And then left leg extends back as both hands come onto the floor. So we're in an all fours position, right knee on the ground, left foot is pressing back. Good, long through the back of the spine and back of the neck. Tuck the lower belly in. So if you're not sure how to do that, just look at your belly button. Naturally, that'll turn on. And then look forward and try to keep that turned on activation. Nice. Right hand out in front. Good. Soften through the shoulders a little bit, draw the shoulder blades back. And just connecting with the breath. One more breath in, and then we'll slowly swap sides. So right hand down, left knee down, right foot back, toes facing down. Good, long through the back of the neck. Make sure that, yep, there we go. Jess has remembered to turn her core on. And then left hand forward. And that's just a little reminder as well. You don't always need to wait for me to cue you for certain things. See if you can just make it a habit of taking certain cues that I mention. Good. One more breath in. And slowly coming back down to child's pose. And taking a bit more stillness this time. Inhale, expanding, drawing the energy down to the tailbone and pelvic floor. And then as you exhale, feel the breath as it moves up and out of the body, moving energy all through your body. Inhale. Bringing everything down to the pelvic floor. And then as you exhale, feel like your body's just flushing out and moving energy around your body and then letting go of whatever doesn't serve. Making your way back to downward dog when you're ready. Letting the breath support you through. Good. Taking a little pedal out. Good. Feet nice and close together. So we're going to keep moving, but take it slow. Inhale, left foot up. Right foot stays down, stretch that left heel up to the ceiling, bend the left knee, slowly left foot through, low lunge, right knee down, zipping up through center. So think on, in, and up. Good, exhale, drop the shoulders. Good, inhale, open up through the back, And then as you exhale, press into the front foot, lean the hips back naturally, and then bow forward. Good, 2 more of these. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, sweeping the hands. Good, so think of this watery movement. And then exhale, hands down to the floor. Same as before. So left knee meets the right knee, hands are on the ground, right foot back in behind, and then left hand forward. So we're exactly where we were before. This time we don't have to take as much as a core on. Just make sure you're stable. And then you're going to bend your right knee and take your left hand back, either to just touch the foot, maybe that's enough, or if it's okay for you, take the left hand over the toes, place the hand on the foot and press the foot into the hand, relaxing the left shoulder, adding a little bit of a grin, and then just focusing on this lifting and expanding upwards. We're not losing the breath control. One more breath in. See if you can slowly release as much as possible. Good, hands, knees on the floor. Take the knees apart a little bit. Let's just take a few little circles before we take the other side. So just circling around, so leaning to the front hand, and then the hips. So leaning forward, circling the hands, backwards, circling the hips, letting the head, face, jaw relax, reversing that direction. Good. Bring your knees a little bit closer together. That will help. And let's take the left foot back, right hand forward. So left foot back, right hand forward. And when you're ready, bending that left knee, taking the right hand in behind. You can maybe grab the big toe if it's a bit difficult, and just pour the weight away from the front hand a little bit. Good. If you feel like you're pressing down on the foot with the hand too much, see if you can relax the shoulder and press more into the hand with the foot. Bonus points for smiles. And taking a not so graceful landing gracefully. And then slowly unwinding and then starting to circle around again. Yeah, so we're just generating energy. And that can also be nothing supernatural or nothing woo-woo. It's simply creating heat and communication between the muscles of the body. And then reversing that circle. And you can turn these circles into less of a circle or maybe more of a figure eight if that feels good. Kind of just wiggling around, exploring your spine a little bit. Take it slow if you're not used to doing it. Still got a little bit of warming up to do, so when you're ready, finding your way to downward dog. Feet about hip width apart, have a little pedal out. And then looking forward, walking the feet underneath the body, raising the hips up a little bit. Feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. So brush the hands up the shins to the knees, long through the back of the neck. Good. And then exhale, fold forward. Good. Rolling all the way up to standing. Feel free to raise the hands up if you don't feel dizzy. If you do feel dizzy, just roll the shoulders instead. Good. Inhale. Expanding and lifting up. Maybe a little bit of a back bend. And then hands come down in front of the chest. Good. Feet nice and close together. Left foot down, right knee up. Place the right hand on the right thigh, left hand, left hip. Yeah, if you've done the previous classes of winter and spring, you'll start to notice some of these movements, more so from spring, this one. So left hand presses into the left hip and left hip presses back. Right hand presses down into the thigh, but the thigh presses back up. Good. One more breath in, and then slowly release. Other side. Inhale, left knee up, right hand, right hip, left hand, left thigh. And you're not forcing it like you're squeezing everything on, but just feel that activation because that will come in handy throughout the rest of the class. It actually turns on little parts of the body that will help us to balance as well. One more breath in, and then slowly release. Other side, left foot down, right knee lifts up. Hand, hip. Good. And then hands in front of the chest, maybe placing the thumbs in the middle of the chest or the sternum if it feels comfortable. And then start to draw the right foot back into a warrior three. So the right heel extends and straightens the right leg, and we lift up that right heel. We rotate the hips a little bit, so the right hip down. See if we can line up the hips a little bit. And then if you like, you can open up the palms out to the side. Imagine like you've got two big inflatable gym balls underneath your armpits. Make sure you don't smack anyone in the face if they are very close to you. Good, and then we're going to land the right foot back, like the yoga ninjas we are, ever so perfectly, into a high lunge position. Take your time to set yourself up, so make sure that back set of toes is facing directly forward. Squeeze the inside of the thighs together. Inhale, lifting up, and then we take that bow. So as we exhale, sweep the hands by our side. Hopefully that front leg is feeling it a little bit. Inhale, lifting up. Good. Exhale, relax. One more time. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, hands all the way to the ground. Stepping that left foot back, downward dog. And have a little pedal out. Slow it all down. If you ever feel like you're generating a little bit too much heat that you're comfortable with, you can take a nice big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, stick out your tongue. Or you might just want to do that because it feels good. That's it. Good. Knees down to the floor. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Take an inhale. As you exhale, chest down to the floor. Keep the hips up. Good. And then slowly straighten out the rest of the body. Elbows turn in a little bit. Draw the shoulders back, pressing through the hands. A little bit of a squeeze through the glutes. Good. Start to look towards your belly button. Draw the lower belly in. Take the feet up and back. Through child's pose. Back to downward dog. So a little in-between pause. So whenever we come into downward dog, we'll be here for probably at least 2 breaths. Feel free to take child's pose instead if you need a little bit of a rest. From downward dog, looking forward, walking the feet up to meet the hands. Also, if we're ever a little bit ahead of you in the flow, you don't need to rush to catch up. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Rolling all the way up into standing. So I'm always aiming to keep a little bit ahead of you, just so you know where you're going. So don't feel the need to catch up. There's always going to be little pauses. So we'll take a little bit of a back bend. So option 1 is to take the fingertips and press them together. And you should feel a bit of opening and activation through the chest. And then ground down through the feet, lifting the chest and lifting the hands. It's just so we don't focus on folding in half backward. Otherwise, if this is uncomfortable for you, you can just take the hands to the lower back. Good. Slowly releasing. Hands on the hips, just a one circle, left, forward, right, back, left, forward, right, back. And notice how small or big your circle is. If it's only a tiny circle, see if you can get these big circles around, loosening up the hips. Good. And then the other way around. You can make whooshing noises. Yeah, so we've connected with summer with the element of water in this course. So just really loosening everything up, feeling fluid, watery, feet nice and close together. Inhale the left knee up, hands in front of the chest, warrior 3. Lifting the heel up and back, straightening that back leg. Good, and then rotate that left hip down a little bit. Option to open up the hands out to the side. And what I mean by watery, so the water element represents liquidity, and that means the ability to change forms without too much effort or strain. And so we want to move the joints like the hips and the shoulders a little bit and feel free to wriggle around a little bit and not be stagnant. Because the more that we do that and we're comfortable with little minor adjustments, if we transition into another pose, say high lunge with the left foot back, turning the back set of toes in a little bit and keep it moving and flowing, If we have to adjust and pivot a little bit, that's okay because we're prepared to be flexible. We have our goal and we're moving towards it. But we're prepared to change lanes, pivot, adjust a little bit of our path if we need to. Inhale, lifting up. And then exhale the hands all the way down to the floor. Stepping the right foot back, downward dog. Good. Maybe taking a breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. As you inhale, I want you to come up on your tippy toes, lifting up and forward, shoulders over the wrists, press into the fingertips, and then exhale, press back. Good. Bend through the knees. Inhale, straighten the legs up onto the tippy toes. Exhale back. If this is uncomfortable, come down to the knees and do cat-cow instead. Inhale, last one, up and holding, and then lower the knees down. Lower your chest slowly down to the floor. Good, straighten out. Let's take a locust pose. So, hands out to the side, basketballs in the hands, long through the back of the neck. We'll have to take a rest after this too. Lifting the chest, feet and knees. Good, so we're gonna swim a little bit. So what I mean by that is as you inhale, take your hands forward, and then exhale, bring the hands back. Good, inhale forward, keep the glutes on, maybe that might help as well. Exhale back. Good, inhale forward. Exhale back. Good, 14 more of these. Inhale forward. Exhale back. 13 more, inhale forward. Just kidding, hold the arms forward, fold the arms, forehead or cheek down to the arms, and just relax. Maybe gently swaying the hips from side to side, and just slowing down the breath. Your heart rate might have increased, that's normal. And slowing down the exhale. And feeling the energy running through your body. So even laying on your belly here, you can still inhale, think about drawing that energy underneath the body, down to the pelvic floor. And just as you pause the breath at the top of the inhale, and that energy kind of circulates around that pelvic area, as you exhale, just squeeze the pelvic floor a little bit and feel like you're drawing energy all up through the spine, the central channel, all the way through the rest of your body. Good. One hand each side of the chest, elbows in, inhale, lift and pour up, and then exhale back to your downward dog. Maybe a pit stop in child's pose for a breath if you like, and then pedaling it out when you get back. Inhale, right foot to the sky, lifting up through the right heel, and then right foot through for a high lunge. Lift your heavy buckets up, so zip up through center, back set of toes facing in. Inhale, drawing, zipping up, and then as you exhale, sinking in. So left knee draws forward a little bit, and we're just gonna take a bit of an Anjaneyasana. So it's just a high lunge, but with a bit of a back bend. So what I want you to do is draw your right knee forward, press into the left foot, and then just start to open the elbows out to the side and get a bit of an opening. Good. I want you to inhale here, and then as you exhale, just bring the hands down in front of the chest, straighten the front leg a little bit. Good. Inhale, lower everything, open up. Exhale, zip it up. Good. Inhale, feel the energy drop down, and then as you exhale, feel it all zip up. Good. One more. We lower the left knee all the way down to the floor, soften the body, take the right hand down to the right thigh, left arm up, and then draw the hips forward a little bit. We'll be here for about 2 or 3 breaths. If you need something under your knee, go for it. That's it, slowing down the breath. One more breath in, and then exhale the hand down, right knee down. Let's take Vajrasana, so feel free to place a bolster or something underneath your knees if you need to. If it's too uncomfortable to be down your knees, just take a seated position for a moment. Lift the shoulders up, draw it back. And just noticing how you're feeling for a moment. Good, so 2 options here. If you feel like you're already quite activated and you don't want any extra energy here for the next couple of breaths, feel free to just slowly focus on the in-breath moving down to the pelvic floor and the out-breath moving up, softening the belly. Otherwise, you can take breath of fire with us again. So either way, starting with the inhale, filling up your belly. And then if you're with us for breath of fire, starting to pump the bellows now. Good, a little bit faster. Full breath out. Good, extra option here. When you breathe in, lean the fingertips back. Inhale, lift the hips up. And then as you exhale, sink the hips back down, keep the hands as they are. Good, one more of these. Inhale, opening up the whole front of the body. Out through the mouth. Good, one more of these. Nice big lift up. Exhale, walking the hands back. Cool, one more round. Feel free to skip this as well and just do regular breathing. This time we're going to be using the hands. So on the exhale, we bring the elbows down. And on the inhale, we open the palms. And so it's this grab. Don't keep in fists. Open and grab on the way down. Good. Full breath in. Lift up the hands, open them. Pumping, elbows down on the breath out. Keep going. If it's too much for the arms, you can just drop the arms and skip. Good, faster. Keep going a little bit faster. Good, full breath out. Drop the hands. Hold the breath out. Not until you feel dizzy or uncomfortable, but whenever you naturally feel like you need to breathe in. Good, and then just slowly with the breath, move back to all fours. You may feel a little bit dizzy, so just take it slow. We're not going anywhere yet. Just slow little movements, loosening off the hips. So this can be circles, figure eights, but just moving maybe with the music or the breath, or just imagining that your body is just this serpentine, playful energy moving through the void. Like you've suddenly been given all this space. It's like when you take a dog outside that's been inside for too long, it just kind of gallops and leaps and jumps around everywhere. Like it's been given so much space suddenly that it hasn't enjoyed for a while. So moving back into downward dog when you're ready. That's what we're doing, just moving this energy through the body to create space and expansion. So that's what the path of Tantra is all about, essentially. It's expansion, whatever that means for you. But for now, just think about not focusing that good feeling that you may be getting from summer in one part of the body. See if you can harness that energy that's moving in a certain part of your body that feels good, and use the breath to move it through the whole body. Good, feet together. Inhale, left foot to the sky, nice and long. Slowly left foot through, high lunge position, both sets of toes moving forward. Inhale, zipping up through center. And then exhale, softening into your pose. Good, and just drawing that right knee forward a little bit, that left knee forward. Good. So as you inhale, just feel like you're dropping the energy down into your pelvic floor and opening, receiving. And then moving that energy through the rest of the body as you exhale. Straighten the front legs, zipping up through center. Good. Inhale, opening. Exhale. Good. And once you get used to it, we're using less force and more just a natural process. So initially, if this kind of movement and idea of moving energy is new to you, it may feel forced, but eventually it's like digging a path for a river. Eventually that becomes a natural flow. Good. One more. Good. Inhale, opening. And then lowering that right knee to the floor, left hand, left thigh, right hand up and over, drawing the hips forward a little bit, soften through the shoulders. The thing is, we've been operating in a certain way most of our lives, and so a lot of the practices are just about kind of changing where those rivers or those streams or your kind of energetic pathways move. And again, that doesn't have to be anything supernatural or anything too out there. It can just be simply what you feel or what sensations you imagine to be happening in your body at that time. That's why it's called subtle energy body. One more breath in. Feel free to stay here for an extra breath if you like. And then hands down to the floor. Good. Inhale. Shoulders over the wrists and hands. Ideally, let's take 5 seconds down to the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Elbows in, straighten out the legs, a little flow. Good, and then exhale back to child's pose. So we're going to take a little in-betweens for the next 3, 4, maybe 5 breaths. So if you want to take a vinyasa flow, so what that means is chaturanga to upward dog. I'm not going to show you or demonstrate it. I'm going to give you the more gentle version, but if you have the stronger version down pat, you can do that. So inhale the knees to the floor, shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, chest down to the floor. Good, straighten out the body, elbows in. Inhale, lifting up. Good, exhale back to child's pose or Vajrasana, and just take a moment of stillness. Just simply noticing. And you might say, I don't really notice anything, and that's fine. Just taking your attention there and starting to notice the subtleties. It's like anything that you start to notice more, you start to notice the subtleties. Especially if you slow down. If you slow down while you're eating your food, you might notice flavors that you didn't notice a moment before. Making your way back to downward dog. So yeah, summer is about embracing all that movement and energy, but also just slowing down sometimes to savor that pleasure that may be moving through you and that taste on your lips. Looking forward, walking the feet underneath the body, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Good, slowly rolling up to standing, either hands above or shoulder roll. Just going to fix up my microphone. So just take a moment here, maybe a little bit of a back bend. And then we're going to have feet together while I continue to fix up my microphone. And then right knee lifts up, so right hand on the right thigh. Might get Jess to actually just help me with this microphone. Mm-hmm. So you can just place your foot back down for a moment. We're just having a little technical difficulty.
There.
Perfect. Cool, so left foot down, right knee lifts up, right hand, right thigh, left hand, left hip. So we're going for Natarajasana. So we slide that right hand down, keeping the tension on, right hand to the right ankle, and then the right foot, keeping the knees quite close together. So extending the right foot back, and then eventually extending the left hand forward. Good, relaxing the shoulders. And you don't want to allow the right knee to open up too much. We want to balance between having it quite close to the body, the inside and the midline of the body, but then allowing space to open up. So as I mentioned at the intro to this class, we want to find a balance because we don't want to open the hips too wide or the pressure goes to the base of the spine. Smiles are definitely encouraged. As there's a bit of playfulness, softness, we'll get to do this pose again before the end of the class, so this is kind of just preparing you for it. And then slowly, softly releasing. Taking the feet a little bit wider, relaxing the arms and just swaying side to side. Don't be afraid to take an audible sigh out. It has amazing power of just relaxing the body and turning off what doesn't need to be on. Good, let's just roll our wrist around a few times, one way, the other, and see if we can get our shoulders to roll around. So as we roll our wrists, roll our shoulders, and then the other way. Good, let's take a nice big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Stick your tongue out, put your eyes to the back of your head. Nice big breath in. Good, Jess is going to turn the camera to show you exactly how it's done. Nice big breath in. We'll do it together. All right, shake it off. Cool, other side. Oh, that's not good. If you two have something sharp in your tights, you don't have to bear with it. Right foot down, left knee up. Left hand, left thigh. Right hand, right hip. So use this to stabilize and use this to turn the lower belly and core on. Slide the left hand down the side of the leg around the ankle. Left foot extends back, keeping the right hand, the right hip until you feel you're ready to extend the right hand out in front. Wobbles are fine. Lots of little activations happening in the body that don't usually get it. So just enjoying the ride, having a sense of playfulness. If you're using our playlist, also enjoying the dramatic accompanying music to your dancer pose, Natarajasana. And then when you're ready, you can slowly unwind, feet down, bend through the knees, bend through the hips, inhale, lifting up, exhale, hands all the way down to the floor, stepping or hopping both feet back, downward dog. Inhale forward, high plank position, shoulders over the wrists, fingertips in, lower the knees slowly as you can, lowering the chest to the ground. And then just straightening out the legs, taking the hands off. So we've got locust pose, maybe the skydiver / cactus variation, or not going for full bow yet, just bending the knees so the feet come back, and just for a moment what it feels like to reach around and just tap the feet without the urge to grab them. Good, and then extending up a little bit more. Good, and then slowly folding forward, forehead or cheek, down to the hands. Slow the breath down. Cool. So, we'll make our way through downward dog to the front of our mat, standing up. I'll let you make your own way there, no rush, but you will need your strap. If you don't have a strap, it's fine. You just won't be able to do this variation of Natarajasana with us. Unfortunately, this time. Good, so option one, if you don't have a strap, is just to do the same. We're going to do one on each side, so Natarajasana. So there are two ways you can do it as well. One, you can have the hand around the outside of the foot And 2, like I mentioned in the intro, you can have your hand the inside of the foot. Yeah, so maybe if you're doing that pose again without the strap, maybe try the inside, but it might feel uncomfortable for you. And if you had a shoulder injury, just watch it. The other one, we will direct you in now. So, I want you to, like thus, take the middle of your strap and have it even on each side. You are then going to create a little hammock for your big toe of your right foot. And like a hammock, you will set your big toe in. Here's one I had prepared earlier. And then we have tricked the big toe into thinking it's a hammock, but really we're toe napping it, crossing the strap over the top. Very good. And then we draw our hands down so we can grab it with the right hand, about halfway down, and just keep it pulling. So the toe's trying to get away because it doesn't want to be toe napped, but we're keeping it solid. So keep it solid, keep the resistance, place the left hand, left hip. We bring it back in behind, similar to our pose before, but then now we've got the toe where we want it in our strap. We hang it over the shoulder like a burglar and we carry it with us. Yeah, so option 1, stay here with the strap over your shoulder. Option 2, go gentle. You can start to lift the hands up and maybe walk the hands slowly up the strap all the way to the toe, or not. Gold stars for smiles. And just staying here until you don't. Good. It's just allowing a little bit more, whether that's a little bit more depth in the pose, a little bit more wobbles in your pose, or a little bit more of laughter as you not so gracefully come out. Good. And we're just going to put the strap around us if you have one and just shake it out a little bit. So just shake the hips, shake the hands. Place your lips together, make a sound. But no laughing, this is serious. Sounds like a horse. All right. Last pose, or standing pose anyway. I've got more fun for you soon, don't worry. Right foot down, left foot up. So hammock around the toe. So just the big toe. Sorry, little toes, you miss out. But they're actually relieved about that because, as I mentioned, it was all an elaborate plan. So it crosses over the top, and then we take the left hand behind with the strap, and then extending back as you draw the elbow into the side of the ribs and then over the shoulder. If you haven't got your strap with you and you're missing out on all the fun, feel free to just practice that pose. Or if you are finished with the pose and you're obviously still waiting for us to finish with this pose, maybe just taking some gentle movement. Could be side to side, but not just standing and watching us. Ideally, just doing something with the body, even if that's with the breath. So in the bonus round of this class, me and Jess are going to do this pose and we're going to have a hopping race across the other side of the room. So if you would like to see that, I highly recommend you complete the rest of the course so you unlock that content. We are also taking bets of who will win that race, by the way. And drop the strap when you're ready. Side to side. Good. Inhale, up and out. Toes out, heels in. Horse stance or goddess pose, whatever you want to call it. Inhale, open. Exhale, in and down. Slowly. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. Big audible sigh out. Hands to the ground, step both feet back, downward dog. Cool. A little bit of fun. Knees to the ground. Two options here. You can play with this pose we did earlier. So right foot back, left arm forward, going for this. Otherwise, you can do this from downward dog in a similar fashion. So you would come from downward dog. You will make sure as best as possible you ground your heel that you're going to balance on. So I would ground my right heel and place my left hand down, and then I would reach back right hand for my left foot. Yeah, so it is called optional for a reason. It is quite tricky. And what may happen as well is, especially if you haven't got your back heel down, you might end up doing what you can convince everyone is a breakdancing move. If you land it correctly, be like, yeah, I was meaning to do that. But have a bit of fun with it. So I might give you a bit of hand. Otherwise, feel free to rest. I'm just going to help Jess with it. So if you come into downward dog. Mm-hmm. Cool. Ground your left heel down. Mm-hmm. Good. Yep. Right foot up. And then press into the right hand, press into the left heel, turn the toes in a little bit, and then reach. Yeah, I'm just going to help you balance. You got it. Good, and then extend the foot into the hand. Smile for the camera. And I'm going to let you go in 3, 2, 1. Good, and then just coming down to a little bit of stillness on your belly. Swaying the hip from side to side. Good, and we'll do the other side of that before we come into the rest, because it can be quite stimulating, so it'd be good to do it as the last active pose. Well, not necessarily, but... So whatever side you did, doing the opposite. So if you were going with me, I was using my right foot down. So this time you would have your left heel down. And right foot up in the air. So if you've already done both sides, just come down to your belly. Just giving you a little bit of extra. So if you're waiting for us to finish, and if you already did both sides, just come into a sphinx position. So elbows into the ribs, we'll all meet here. So elbows feel like we're drawing towards the rib cage, hands, forearms down, long through the back of the neck, drawing the elbows and forearms towards you. And have the elbows in line with the shoulders, or maybe even a little bit in. We tend to have the elbows too wide a lot of the time and use a lot more effort than we need to. Cool. Options for a little bit of back bending action. So we are going to work towards a full bow. Feel free to take half bow, feel free to stay in sphinx, feel free to take locust or something else, cobra. But if you would like to go to a half bow, you would take one hand out in front, press into the fingertips, press into the toes of the back foot, and then reach your left hand or right hand, and then extend in. Yeah, so this is half bow. You might prefer to do that on both sides, one at a time. If you want to go full bow pose, you can reach back both hands, keep the knees quite close together to start off with. Relax the shoulders, and then start to extend the feet into the hands. And then think long through the back of the neck, not just lifting the chin up. And using the breath. So as you breathe in, can you stay there for a little bit? Mm-hmm. Expand the belly. And if you do have a friend or a partner you're doing this with, you can maybe take each other's ankles, so draw their knees in a little bit. If you want to look up here, if you're watching, and you can just lean back, drawing everything in. Good, one more breath in. And then slowly release. Good, and then just forehead or cheek down to the mat and just relax, letting everything integrate, letting the energy settle, move through the body, and just allowing the space for the expansion. When you are ready, you can slowly start to make your way out. And we will take Hanumanasana. So it's a splits position. You will be nice and prepped for it. But I would recommend using some pillows or bolsters if you're not used to it, and definitely have something underneath your knee. So what we're going to do is take the right foot forward and just start to shuffle the right foot forward a little bit. So if you have a really grippy mat, I would probably recommend taking the front foot off the mat. So that's obviously not going to work for you. So I'll go backwards a little bit, just so you can do it.
Like that?
Yep. And then have the left knee back. So incrementally going right foot forward and then left knee back. Right foot forward, left knee back. And if 100% was going your absolute max, maybe going 70%. We don't want to go your absolute max. Breathing deep. Now what can also help is if you've got two blocks, you can have one block under each hand, either on the lower setting or the higher setting. What can also help is having a bolster or some pillows underneath just to support the hips. Because what can happen is if the hips and the rest of the body feel supported, they tend to relax a little bit more. And so, there we go. Is that all right? Because a lot of the time we think we're making the muscles longer, and that's not really happening. We're just allowing the body to release a little bit more. But the body needs to feel strong and safe enough to support that length. And so to help that along is making sure that the body has some support that it can lean into. And so that can be even planting a little seed, or you're in summer, you know, planting some little seeds, or maybe not eating all of the food because winter will come eventually. So even while you're in this peak position, still not being afraid to take some help and receive some support. Good, so this is a pose that you may want to stay in for a few more breaths, or you might be more than ready to leave it. So within the next couple of breaths, we'll start to move out. So if you have a slidey front foot or surface, it might be a little bit easy to lean back, but what I prefer to do is just start to lean to the back hip. So I'll lean to my left knee, and then I just walk my hands around towards the side of where the knee is. Turn that back palm, sorry, that back foot, and then opening up to the side. Good. Good. And then we can bring that right knee in, and then we will switch around. Feel free to do an extra little spin like Jess did there. I just want to spin. When are we going to do the spinning part again? I might do a Gomukhasana based class as a bonus round where you get to do lots of cool spinning tricks. So just settling in. One side might be quite different to the other. That's very normal. I don't think I've ever met someone who has perfectly even hips. And just slowing the breath down. So remember, there's always variations for these poses. That's why I always give a few little cues in the intros before we do these classes for each season, just to make sure that you've got options when we come to these. So if you've forgotten that variation, I mean, it's probably a little bit late now, but next time. Good. Happy thoughts. Definitely not thinking about how easy it would be for the teacher to tickle the front foot and how vulnerable you are here. Definitely not thinking about that. Good, so it's up to you when you want to move out. If you're enjoying it, feel free to stay. Definitely don't recommend rushing out, but I will be walking my hands over to the right if you have your left leg forward, and then shifting the weight back, slowly grounding the pinky toe of that left foot, opening up through the side body. Feel free to move, whatever feels good to move. And then you can make your way onto your back. Just have your bolster, strap, and block nearby. And first thing we're going to do is just circle the knees around, thank you. So just very gently circling the knees around, shoulders rotating in circles as well. And reversing that rotation. And then having the knees together and the knees just above the hips, so that a lot of the time it's further away from your chest than you think it is, because you want to gently press down onto the knees and just circle that lower back around. So you're kind of just massaging around that tailbone area. Good. And then you can place both feet down. We're going to, before we go anywhere, we're going to do either a bridge position, a more active bridge, or you can take upward bow, aka wheel. So I haven't actually asked Jess how she is with this pose, but Jess, how are you with this pose? Have you done it before? Okay, this will be perfect. So you can see that just because Jess is here being my lovely assistant doesn't necessarily mean she's a yogi pro. So if you are also new to upward bow, aka wheel, I will talk you through it. It is completely optional. Please don't do anything that you feel uncomfortable with. So you don't want your feet too far apart or too close together. And when you take your hands up and over, you want to have your elbows fairly close together as well. Cool. Make sure your head isn't turned to the side, so just drop your head here. And then move your hands probably either side of the ear. So if you see this one that we prepared earlier, hopefully you can see it on the camera, but her hands are about either side of her ear, elbows are together. And then we want the feet about hip distance or maybe a little bit wider. And then what we're mainly thinking about doing is starting to lift the hips up, so you don't have to do that yet. And then just pushing the hands not just down, but up, and pushing the feet not just down, but away from you a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is support her with the strap. So obviously you might not have someone supporting you, so just get you to lift up a little bit. So I'm just going to, don't recommend necessarily trying this, but I'm just making sure she gets the length and does this safely because she is new to it. And then you just want to have your elbows stay together. Cool. So when you're ready, use the breath. So breathe in, pressing through. Good. And then just allowing the space. So just stay down if you want to come down. Good. And then when you do come down, see if you can roll from the upper back all the way down to the tailbone. Relax. Good. So options here are just a regular bridge. So we'll do one more if that's all right with you. Not yet, not yet, not yet. So just taking whatever suits your body today. Feel free to try this, but remember to just go slow. Yeah? So progressions towards that are exactly what Jess has just done, obviously without the strap for you, but just starting to lift up and see where you get to. yeah? But making sure that you use the breath. So the breath in is naturally expansive, so I highly recommend using the breath in to get into the pose, and then the exhale to kind of stabilize the pose, and then use the exhale to come back out when you're ready. So, Jess is gonna go one more time with this. 1 second. Good, and then you can do if you're ready. Good. And just having a little rest. Do you want to do one more? Take my ankles. Good. And then go for it. Yeah, there we go. Straighten your arms. Yeah, there we go. Good. Tucking your chin. Good. Just relax. So good news, the only poses we have left are just to help you wind down a little bit more. So when you're ready, absolutely no rush, but we'll take the right foot inside of the strap. So if you don't have a strap, just take the hands behind the right knee. Inhale, pointing the toes. Exhale, flexing the foot. Inhale, pointing the toes. Exhale, flexing the foot. Relaxing the shoulders. So if you've got the strap in hand, it's around closer to the toes. Make sure the tailbone is on the ground and just fully soften in. And so if you're not used to back bends, they're an interesting phenomena, I guess you can call them, because they're quite activating and they can help you feel really quite confident and powerful, but yet they also leave you feeling quite vulnerable as well in a lot of instances. And so I think that's why they're a really good pose, because it's helping you to understand the power in vulnerability. But if you're not used to that kind of shift in energy, it can feel a little strange. So if you're feeling a little bit strange, it's very normal with such back bends. So just take a breath in. Just allow it the space. And then you can gently switch sides, switch legs when you're ready. Extending the left foot up. So if you've got no strap, just inhale, pointing the toes, exhale, flexing the foot. Gradually, millimeter by millimeter, just extending the foot a little bit higher with each out breath, but not straining. And then slowly, when you're ready, just placing the left ankle on the right thigh, either leaving it here for a few breaths or threading both arms through in between the legs. Right knee draws towards you, left ankle pressing away. So it's just a little bit of a gentle hip glute stretch. Deep breath into the belly. Shavasana is not far away. Just one or two more breaths. Switching sides when you're ready. So left foot down, right ankle, left thigh, and then threading the arms through if you did on the other side. Softening into the belly, allowing space for the energy to move down, expanding on the inhale. And then as you exhale, energy moves back up and out, but just feeling this relaxation. So think about maybe if you are focusing on the breath, think about that breath up and out, just removing any tension and letting it go. Anything you don't need, just letting it go. And then feet down flat on the ground, edges of the mat, so the knees fall slightly inwards, arms are out wide, and then just gently sway the knees from side to side. So just go extra gentle, considering all the back bend we've been doing. It can be nice to do a little bit of twisting after back bends, but just take it gentle. And so, two options here. You can just let the knees gently kind of sway and stay on one side if that feels okay. Otherwise, feet flat down, lifting up the hips, shuffling them over towards the left side, and then the knees gently fall over to the right a little bit. And we shuffle the hips just to make sure that the lower back, lower spine stays aligned. If it's okay for you to stack your knees, you can do it as that. Otherwise, you may want to have something in between the knees, if that feels better for you. Otherwise, the knees can be separated, meaning one slightly further forward than the other. You don't need to do that. Just allowing everything to settle. In the next breath or two, we'll switch sides. So removing anything from between your legs if you have it, and then making sure that we shuffle the hips back to the center and then over to the opposite side to make sure that when the knees fall down, we're keeping that lower back happy. So you can probably come back a little bit. Yeah. Just returning to this soft belly breathing, this diaphragmatic breathing. So if you're not familiar with diaphragmatic breathing, that's where some of the ideas of the energy moving down comes from. Because as we breathe in, the diaphragm extends down and allows more space for the breath. And then as we exhale, kind of draws upwards a little bit and helping to empty out the lungs. Move the breath up and out. When you are ready, you can bring everything back to neutral. So you've done plenty of back bending, but if you do want one more little supportive bridge, you can place something gently underneath the hips, maybe a bolster or a block. You can straighten your legs if you like. Otherwise, you may want to place your legs up the wall or something else. Optionally, you could just go straight into Shavasana. And you've most definitely deserved it today with this class. But we will all meet there very soon anyway. So just wherever you are, just letting this feeling of spaciousness and expansion move through you. Maybe feeling like you've cleared a bunch of little blockages in the rivers through your entire body. And so that water is just flowing so much more smoothly, consistently through your whole body. So making your way into Shavasana if you haven't yet. Feel free to place the bolster under your knees if you like. Otherwise, just let your body be however it wants to be. Maybe placing something warm over you if you're feeling a little bit cool, because we're going to have a little bit of stillness here. Just a couple more times as you breathe in, feel that energy moving all the way down, and not holding, but just pausing the breath and noticing any sensations around the pelvic area. So this is what we call our lower kundalini. And then as you exhale, just even imagining this energy moving up through the body. Then inhale, moving down. We often confuse what it means when we say energy, and even the saying where attention goes, energy flows. But an example of this would just be noticing your back of your hand, or maybe the tip of your right thumb. And depending on if there's any breeze in the room, but if you focus hard, you'll probably be able to feel some sort of sensation in maybe the back of the hand or the thumb. And those sensations were probably still there, but the fact that you put your attention there took some energy there for some reason in order to make that signal stronger or that experience more potent. And so we can do the same thing, especially with our breath, but maybe in this time of summer, when it's really optimal to do these kind of kundalini practices, and it's not just moving up, it's moving up and down through the central channel, through the whole body. And so maybe just once more before we completely just go into stillness, as you breathe in, imagine that energy just starting to pool like a little whirlpool vortex at the base of the spine, but in the pelvic floor. So it's not just the spine, it's the central channel of the body. And then as you exhale, however that feels, feel it moving like a free-flowing system of channels through the whole body. However subtle, or if it does feel a little stronger for you and you get those little shakes and chills moving up through your body, just let it move, enjoy it. And then with one more big breath in through the nose, sigh out through the mouth, you can just let go. Just completely drop into stillness. There's nothing left you need to do. Absolutely no rush. Just starting to bring your awareness back to the room, your breath and body. Before doing anything else, I want you to imagine this warm, golden, almost flame-like sensation moving through your body. And it feels amazing. It feels like your body's just radiating this warmth, this sensation of expansion, this glow. And everywhere that you can feel it on your body, it feels like this sense of strong weightlessness. This sense of complete openness and spaciousness. But also feeling completely anchored, grounded, and in your deep sense of purpose, pleasure, prosperity, and power. You can begin to gently brush your fingertips across the thumbs, wiggle your toes, moving your head gently from side to side. You might want to rotate the shoulders, wrists, or ankles, and just moving however feels good for you. When you're ready, you can take a nice big stretch up overhead with the arms, nice big breath in, little grin, or maybe a big grin, and then roll over to your side, knees tucked in, head resting on the arm. Feel free to stay down here for a little while if you prefer, or if you're ready to come back up into a seated position, you can do that. So just resting the hips down either on the floor or a pillow, bolster or a block. Hands resting on the thighs, knees, or in the lap. And just taking a moment just to notice how you feel. Noticing the difference in how you feel now as opposed to when we started the class. You feel that radiance. That sensation, that glow through your whole body. And take a breath in, taking both hands up above the head. And as you exhale, palms together, just dropping the hands down in front of the chest. Take a nice big breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Thank you for practicing with us. Have a beautiful rest of the day or evening or sleep. And we will see you soon. Namaste. Om.
Yay. That was good.